Hey, what's good, guys? Today we are going to be discussing one of my favorite debate topics around veganism, and that is, of course, vegan children being raised on vegan diets. And the reason why this topic is so interesting to me is because there are so many vegans out there that might be harmless, right? They might not be annoying on the internet. They might be like, oh, your body, your choice. Yeah, I don't care what you do. But then they go around and they raise their kids vegan, which is problematic because there is no concrete research that says a vegan diet is good for a growing child, that it is good for their development, that it's healthy for their development. However, there is a bunch of evidence that suggests that it can be quite detrimental to their development, to their health, and to their growth. And there's actually several European countries that have made it illegal to feed kids a vegan diet until they are 16 years old based on the research they've conducted. Now, I know some of you are probably thinking, especially if you're vegan in this crowd, well, the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, which is what most of the vegans reference, said in an outdated paper that a vegan diet appropriately planned by a nutritionist, they kind of specified that later in the document if you read a little bit further, by a nutritionist, a professional, can be nutritionally adequate for all stages of development. However, this very year, early in January, they walked that statement back and got rid of the part that said all stages of development and made it for just adults, which again makes it abundantly clear that there is no concrete research that says raising a kid on a vegan diet is a healthy, viable thing for their development. And before we get into the story, I just want to say one more thing. For any vegans out there raising their kids on a vegan diet, knowing that there's no concrete research, why do you think that it is worth the risk of potentially giving them developmental issues, stunting their growth, and even potentially risking an early, unfortunate death to uphold your lifestyle, which again, isn't even their choice. It's a choice that they've forced upon them. Anyway, let's get into it. Am I the asshole for feeding my niece McDonald's every day when I watch her, even though my sister is vegan and raising her daughter vegan too? Now, usually at the beginning of these, I kind of say what my opinion is about the whole story, but this time I'm gonna make you guys wait. It might surprise you. Okay, I know this sounds bad, but hear me out. Me, 25F, and my sister, 30F, is super vegan. She's been vegan for 10 years and now raises her 4-year-old daughter, Luna, totally plant-based. No meat, dairy, eggs, honey, anything like that. She even avoids letting Luna play with rubber ducks because she says they normalize animal farming. I'm not joking. Now, let me chime in here real quick. This is how you know you are not dealing with your typical run-of-the-mill vegan. This is a lunatic. This isn't your regular schmegular vegan. This is a lunatic. If they really think that your child playing with a rubber duck is normalizing farming, you have lost your fucking marbles. Anyway, my sister recently got a new job that has her working late, and since I live just down the street and work from home, I've been helping by babysitting Luna every weekday from around 3 to 7 in the evening. It's cheaper for her because nursery costs more as it goes later. It's been about 4 months. I don't charge her, and I make sure Luna's entertained, clean, and fed. Good on you. But here's the issue. Luna can be a little terror. She tells me my face looks tired and squishy. She's asked if my perfume is made of old banana juice, and she constantly draws me with an angry face in her little crayon scribbles. My sister laughs it off and says, Luna's just expressive and clever, which I would agree with. One day I was exhausted from work and I didn't feel like peeling sad oat-based nuggets out of a cardboard box. So I took her to McDonald's. There's a 2-minute walk from my house. I told her this is what most kids eat. She was skeptical at first, but after one nugget, she went absolutely feral. She loved it. Since then, I've been taking her every other weekday. She eats cheeseburgers, milkshakes, fries. Once even a filet-o-fish, though she wasn't a fan of that one. She always says not to tell her mom, so I don't. I'm gonna chime in here real quick again. Listen, if you're gonna feed the kid meat and, whatever animal products because you think that's a good idea, why does it have to be McDonald's? Like, why does it have to be, fried chicken nugget, like things that aren't healthy? That's kind of my issue so far right now. It's like, if you're gonna do that behind the parents' back, at least make it healthy food, right? Like, go to the goddamn store and cook her up something, like make it special. You're probably cooking some food for yourself some of these days. Like, why not do that instead of taking her to fucking McDonald's? But You know, I'm not going to judge parents that take their kids to McDonald's every once in a while. I think that's an okay thing to do. I'm not a parent yet, and I'm talking all high and mighty because I don't usually eat like McDonald's or Burger King, most fast food places. But I ain't going to judge you if you do. But I just think it'd be nice to try to uphold the kids' healthy lifestyle, at least, you know, with healthier animal products if you are going to go that route. That worked fine until she recently drew herself at McDonald's whilst at nursery and told the worker her favorite food is chicken nuggets. It appeared on some nursery app like, "This is what Luna is doing today." My sister saw and completely lost it. She said I'd poisoned her child, undone her ethical parenting, and committed food assault. I've never heard that term before. That's a new one. I mean, who knows how long it's going to be until vegan teacher and Tosh Peterson starts doing that. This is food assault. Like, I don't even know what that means. Like, you're assaulting food? Like, is that what they're saying? I don't know. Or assaulting her with food. I think that's what it is. I think it's like saying, like, you know, like assault, but like food. I don't know. She's threatening to never let me see Luna again and is finding another babysitter. I'm not surprised. I'd be shocked if that wasn't the immediate response, you know, to berate her, to call her all these names, and then be like, "You can never see my daughter." That's typical nutcase vegan behavior. Like, not surprised at all. Our mom is trying to stay neutral, but said, "I should have respected her choices as a parent." Our dad said it was cruel of me. I get that. But I'm the one watching Luna for free every single day while getting verbally bullied by a tiny dictator. Can I at least let her eat something good? Am I the asshole? I honestly think I made her life better. Last week she drew me as a princess, smiling brightly instead of sadness from inside out. Alright y'all, I know you've been waiting for this. My verdict. She's an asshole. Alright, listen, I'm gonna explain in great detail. I know a lot of you probably agree too, but she is an asshole for doing this. But not for the reasons that some of you might think. She's an asshole for a couple of reasons though. One, going behind her sister's back, but then there's also some nuance with that, but we'll get to it. Secondly, her food choice obviously being fast food. Third, she didn't do this for the right reasons. She didn't do this because she was concerned about the kid's health. She did it because she was lazy. Because she's like, I'll just go to McDonald's, kid, it's better, good food, it's yummy. Like, that was her reasoning, which is not justifiable at all. So yes, in a vacuum here, given the circumstances and the story that has been told, she's an asshole. There's no way around that. However, like I said, there's some nuance, but this would really only apply if it was based on her intentions, which they're not there, but we're gonna go ahead and talk about it anyway. Now, as I mentioned at the very beginning, that there is no evidence that a vegan diet is healthy and sufficient for a growing child. The Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics walked back that statement, and I actually have some evidence from some European documents, some Europeans who have actually dug further into the vegan rat hole and the science and the evidence and all of that, and have actually put out some pretty convincing statements to suggest that, hey, maybe your kids shouldn't be raised on a vegan diet, including even outlawing it in certain countries. So we're gonna go there, and then we're gonna come back. Here's a study from the National Library of Medicine, which I believe this to be an actual like American website, but what is spoken about talks about European statements on top of North American ones. So that's where we'll be looking at. Parallel with increased public awareness of the health and environmental benefits of consuming plant-based diet, the numbers of people who identify as vegan has increased sharply. The question of whether vegetarian and vegan diets are appropriate for children is a long-standing and unresolved controversy. The more restrictive the diet and the younger the child, the greater the risk of nutritional deficiency. Nutrients of potential concern are protein quantity and quality, iron, zinc, selenium, calcium, riboflavin, I'm not gonna say that honestly, vitamin A, D, and B12, and essential fatty acids. Although intakes and status of some nutrients, vitamin D and iron, are low in many children, vegan children are particularly susceptible due to inadequate supply and/or excess dietary fiber, as well as other components that limit bioavailability. Although position papers in North America state that well-planned vegetarian and vegan diets supplemented appropriately are suitable for all life stages. Again, this was that paper from the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, and this is before they walk that statement back, because this was posted a few years ago now, so before the update. European statements include strong recommendations to parents that vegan diets should not be adopted by children without medical and dietetic supervision. Case histories of malnutrition and serious harm persist, including irreversible neurological damage due to vitamin B12 deficiency among unsupplemented children. The evidence available to evaluate the nutritional appropriateness of vegetarian diets for children is inadequate and dated. The rest is about vegetarian shit, so we're not really too concerned with that. And then we also have this lovely article from The Spectator. Now, this is a European one. Why children shouldn't go vegan. We're not going to read it all, but we're going to read the important parts. Research shows that veganism is intimately associated with nutritional deficiencies. A vegan diet negatively affects the developing brain, whether child or late adolescent. In Italy, after a number of babies raised on vegan diets required hospitalization for malnourishment, lawmakers made it a crime to feed children under 16 a vegan diet. Obviously inspired by developments in Italy, Belgian officials also made it illegal to force a vegan diet down a child's throat. And this is actually, Italy is where that vegan teacher lives now, which is kind of ironic. Italy was one of the first to make it illegal to feed children a vegan diet because they know the truth that it is not nutritionally adequate for developing children. Children raised on vegan diets suffer terribly. Worryingly, some reports suggest that as many as 1 in 12 British parents are now raising their children vegan. If you happen to be one of those parents, please stop. We are the descendants of avid meat eaters. In the words of Dr. James O'Keefe, when considering your health and the health of your child, you need to keep in mind the diet for which we've been adapted genetically. Animal-based foods have been an important part of the human diet for at least 3 million years. So anyway, now that we all got all that information out in the open, back to my verdict. She's still an asshole. That hasn't changed. She's an asshole because she did it for the wrong reasons. Had she done it for the right reasons, like, hey, I'm concerned about this child's development and her health, and yeah, you can't tell the vegan parent because at this point they're too far gone. She's obviously sunk very deep into lunacy. There's no helping her at this point. And so going to the vegan mother and being like, hey, I want to feed your kid meat is an absolute no-go. They're going to be like, oh no, you can't do that. And if you do it, like, you're never seeing this kid again. Like, you know how that's going to go. You know how that's going to play out. It's not worth it. Now, if I was in this person's position, I absolutely would feed that kid meat, and I would do it behind the parent's back. You can call me an asshole all day. I don't give a shit. I would care more about my niece than my goddamn sister's vegan ideology. Now, my sister used to be vegan, actually, fun fact. And she has a child now too. She's not vegan anymore because she's like, wait, this is stupid. And then she stopped being vegan. But say that continued and I was taking care of her kid. Yeah, I would be feeding that kid some home cooked meaty meals every single time that they were over, and I would not tell her. Because that child's safety, development, and well-being is far more important than her ideology. And then once that kid's old enough to choose, they're going to choose to have meat. And yeah, mama can get all mad as fuck as they want to about it. But at the end of the day, that is that child's autonomy. They can choose to eat whatever the hell they want. But when they're that young, physically they can't. Mentally they can choose to eat what they want. I want to eat this. But then their parents it's up to them to give them what they want. And yeah, some people might be like, well, you really shouldn't go behind, the parents' back. You should respect their fuck that. Fuck that. If it's more important to protect the child, then that's what you should be doing. Hands down, no debate about it. You have to think about it this way. Now, I'm going to use an analogy, just like the vegans always do. If the parents think that it's appropriate to beat their kid at 6 o'clock every single day, and like, oh, you need to do that too when they're over, it's a whole disciplinary thing that we're doing. It helps to make sure that, they learn their lessons and that they'll never disrespect us. It's for a practical purpose. Like, first off, you're like, no, you're a fucking crazy sociopath. I'm not doing that. Is that a good time to respect the parents' wishes? No. So that isn't some sort of universal rule. If the parents' wishes are unreasonable, then why should you follow them? Now, there could even be like other ones too that aren't as extreme as like beating them at a systemic time every single day. But even for like, oh, they're not allowed to shower on certain days of the week. Like, what the fuck is that? Like, okay, like, yeah, that one's not like directly harmful. But like, if you go behind that parent's back and let them shower on a day they're not supposed to shower, like, you're not causing them any harm. Like, what's wrong with, Like, there might actually be some weird spiritual spiritualist people that are like, oh yeah, we're not supposed to shower on Wednesdays and Saturdays. Like, okay, well, what if this kid fell in the goddamn mud outside and is covered in mud and dirt and is dirty as shit and gunky? Like, they shouldn't be able to shower? Like, you know what I'm saying? I know, crazy, weird analogy, but I'm trying to do something a little bit more tame than what I said before. And you get the idea. I understand, you guys get the idea at this point. I mean, do y'all remember that evil witch, Ruby Frank? And if you don't worry. Just go subscribe to Curl Gator Mysteries. I'll be making a video on her very soon. But she literally starved her children and told basically her teacher, her concerned teacher that called, was like, hey, your daughter didn't pack a lunch, can you bring her one? She basically was like, oh, well, if she didn't bring a lunch, then she has to go hungry. Like, that's somebody who she did not want to feed her child, right? But if that teacher had, would she have been an asshole because the parent was like, no, I don't want her to eat because she was responsible for her own lunch? Her parents would definitely feel that way, unhappy if she did. But this is just another great example of just because the parents' wishes are a certain thing doesn't mean that those wishes are correct and should be followed.
I just got a text message from Eve's teacher, and she said that Eve did not pack a lunch today, and can I bring a lunch over to the school? This happens quite often when you're raising children, because I know that her teacher is uncomfortable with her being hungry and not having a lunch, and it would ease her discomfort if I came to the school with a lunch. But I responded and just said, Eve is responsible for making her lunches in the morning, and she actually told me she did pack a lunch. So the natural outcome is she's just going to need to be hungry. And hopefully nobody gives her food and nobody steps in and gives her a lunch.
The way she treats her children is like the way prisoners are treated at Guantanamo Bay. She fucking posted a video where she was laughing about not feeding her daughter any food because she was punishing her. And she even said that she hopes nobody gives her daughter any food because if she did, then the lesson wouldn't be learned.
And I just want to talk about one more thing. Calories are a big deal when you're a growing, developing child. You need way more calories than you do when you're an adult. At certain stages, you need way more calories. And the thing about plant-based diets is they are generally much lower in calories. And also it's harder to eat more plant-based foods because of higher fiber content. Fiber makes you feel full. This is why a lot of vegans that we see on the internet are very skinny. I mean, look at Freely. She's literally brittle as hell. Nothing but skin and bones, and barely even bones at this point because you also get lower bone density on a vegan diet. That vegan Skeletor, same thing. Now, obviously you got people like Tosh Peterson and her man who've got a little bit more on them. And the reason for that, guess what? They're going to places like Lord of the Fries and eating fries and burgers. Like, they're like vegan burgers, of course. And what the thing is with those like plant-based burgers and stuff, they put so many chemicals and so many different crazy things in them. Yeah, they end up having a good amount of calories, but they're not healthy. Those are not good things to be consuming on a daily basis. Now, if you're doing whole food, vegan items every single day, yeah, you could probably get your calorie intake if you're an adult pretty easily. Eat some potatoes, some other high calorie things like nuts, you know. But that is still something that you have to watch out for, especially for growing children. They need a lot of calories, and it might be hard. Like, I feel full, but you know, if their calorie goal for that day is 2,500, and they're like feeling full after 1,800, you know, they're 700 calories deficient. That's gonna stunt their growth, which is probably one of the major reasons that one of the biggest risks of a growing vegan child is stunted growth. This is probably it. And on top of that, with fatigue and being tired, a lot of vegans as adults are like, oh, I'm always tired and brain fog. And it's like, well, maybe you're not getting enough calories, because it's hard to do so in a healthy way on a vegan diet. Again, that's not to say that you can. I mean, you could also eat things like pastas and stuff, which are not necessarily healthy, but some of these vegans are extremely strict on what they're willing to eat. And a lot of it results in these calorie deficits, other nutritional deficits, and doing this to a developing child should be considered child abuse. If you're knowingly doing this to a child without the research and everything to back it, risking their health and safety, their well-being, their growth and development, this should be considered child abuse. And I mean that 100%. What Italy has done, and I think it was like Belgium or something, I don't remember, whatever country it was in Europe, is absolutely correct. You shouldn't be able to do this. I would hate to infringe on people's freedom to, you know, feed their kids what they want, but when you're risking that child's development and health and safety, it should be illegal. Anyway, if you guys enjoyed this video, please hit the like and subscribe button. If you're into true crime, I have a true crime channel called Curl Gator Mysteries. Definitely check that out. Until next time.